Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Friday night. Friday night at Save SA Wine, and it's been a great week. And now we have an exciting weekend. And you know what? This is the first weekend since the alcohol ban was lifted. So this should be an exciting weekend. I'm sure people are going out, they're doing things, bars are open, restaurants are open, and it's Friday night. Okay, I know you can't stay out till the wee hours of the morning, but I'm pretty sure that places are pumping. And I want our viewers or our listeners who are out there and members of our group who are enjoying their Friday night to please send in their pictures. Please send your pictures to the group of what you're doing tonight, where you're going, so that we can see. It's Friday evening, and cheers to everyone. And like I said many times before, this is definitely a time to celebrate. It's not a time for complacency. So please, when you celebrate, please take a video, please take a picture, post it in the group, share it with everybody, tell your friends where you were, and let's share our experiences here so that we can create more awareness for what's happening. I've got a few announcements tonight, but before I do that, I just want to remind you guys about this lockdown special. 45% off lockdown special from the Fishwives Club. It's ending on the 31st of August, 10 days' time, or when the stock runs out. You get a bottle of Merlot, you get a bottle of Sauvignon Blanc delivered to your door. Their prices include delivery, they deliver anywhere in the country. And I've spoken to the guys today. I've heard deliveries have gone out. People are happy that received their Fishwives Club, and the guys that most of the people that ordered will get their orders next week. And if you order now, you'll get your orders within 72 hours from shipping. And it's 45% lockdown special, something that you probably won't ever see again on this wine. So I've heard that the wine is, well, I've tasted the Merlot. The Merlot is fantastic. I haven't tasted the Sauvignon Blanc, but I will actually taste it on Monday because I've got my own stock being delivered. So that's fantastic. So please um, don't be shy. Get your Fishwives Club lockdown special before it expires. And a big thank you for the Fishwives Club for actually sponsoring tonight's evening show. Um, then I've got a few announcements. But before I go into announcements, again, a huge, huge thank you to every single person in this group. You guys have come together at a time when the South African wine industry needed you. You've performed, you've invited your friends, but most of all, you've actually went out and you've bought South African wine and you're consuming the product, which is the best thing that anybody can do. So if you're out tonight consuming our product, our South African wine product, please send in your pictures. We'd love to share it with the rest of the community. And guys, please invite your friends and family. We need to get this group to 100,000 people. Um, you never know when there's another lockdown. It could happen. But not only that, the South African wine industry is still struggling and going to struggle for a long time. But like it says on this picture, let's celebrate. On the 1st of September, we've got Cape Classique Day. This is where we celebrate our local bubbly, and it's going to be fantastic. We've got all the big wine producers and bubbly producers of the Cape Classic Association taking part in this. We are going to be busy next week interviewing some of the biggest Cape Classic producers. So paste your pictures in the group of where you're consuming Cape Classic. Use the hashtag Cape Classic Day, and we are creating a page that will be up shortly over this weekend where you would be able to find MCC. It will be bit.ly/find MCC. It's not up yet, but you'll be able to get all the latest deals from our MCC producers, and it's going to be fantastic. So please share that. 1st of September is also Spring Day, day that you traditionally would buy your loved ones some flowers. Why not add a glass or a bottle of MCC to that day? That will be fantastic. So we'll give you more of what's happening. Then we've got some big things happening. You'll notice through the weekend that the actual header page of Save SA Wine will change, and there's big changes coming. We've got big announcements next week. I can't divulge anything now. Things are still being planned, but there's huge things coming. So make sure that you're on, um, on all our live streams and that you're on the group all the time. Again, if you're looking for wine, go to bit.ly/find SA wine. There's still some fantastic offers out there. You will find offers you'll find nowhere else. Our producers are still going to the page. They're listing their offers for free. They're also starting to list their accommodation, and they're starting to list their spa experiences. And soon people will start listing their events. So just please go there and support our producers. And if you're a producer, please go there and go list your offer. People are going there all the time, so you're losing out if you're not on there. Um, my featured podcast tonight is an interview with Laurie Cooper. Laurie is a winemaker, and she also runs the KwaZulu Natal School of Wine. She's from Abingdon Estate in the KwaZulu Natal Highlands. So this is quite interesting, and they've got an interesting story. And if you didn't know it, there's wine being made there, and you can actually visit them. You can also go do a course at the KwaZulu Natal School of Wine. So I'm going to talk to on the podcast within a few minutes. Um, I just want to repeat, please, if you're going out, it's Friday night, um, it's weekend, and it's a time for celebration. Enjoy the weekend. Obviously, stay safe. Remember to social distance, but also do not forget to share your posts, to share your wine quotes, to share your pictures of where you're spending your Friday evening and what wine you're drinking. And go check out what's open and come tell us. We don't know, right? I'm sitting here doing a live stream. I should be out as well, but I'm waiting for you guys to come tell me where I should be going. I think there's a lot of exciting things happening, so please, please, please share that. And then before I start the podcast, I just want to say um, regarding podcasts, if you're a wine producer or a winelands business or a restaurant anywhere in the country and you want to be featured on a podcast, please write us an email at visitthewinelands@gmail.com. We'll interview you and you'll get some free exposure. Our group wants to hear your story. We are keen to hear stories from the winelands, so please do that. And yes, that is great. And before I start the podcast, I just want to again say thank you to our sponsors, the Fishwives Club. Um, this lockdown special ending on the 31st of August or whenever the stock runs out. So don't wait. Order tonight. You'll have your stock next week. They have express courier delivering the stuff, and it's going to be awesome. So thank you very much to the Fishwives Club for making this evening live stream possible. And now, without further ado, well, there's some ado. I'm just going to say tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock on a Saturday morning, please log into our Saturday morning live stream. I've got some exciting things happening. We'll have we'll have a nice podcast. We're going to talk a little bit about our restaurants. The featured podcast will be with Bertus Basson, and I'm also have some new announcements. So please log in tomorrow morning at 9 and have a nice evening. Enjoy your Friday evening. Remain safe. Come back home safely. Remember to post from where you are. Post on the group. Post now. You're sitting there with your phone. Post, post, post in the group. Safe. Hashtag save SA Wine. And without further ado, I'm going to get Laurie Cooper on and we're going to listen to the podcast. Thanks for your listening and for your attention tonight.
Welcome to About the Winelands. In this show, we will be chatting to influencers and leaders in the wine industry, winemakers, restaurants, and other businesses. Tune in every Wednesday and Friday for our latest episodes. You will find us on YouTube, Spotify, Google Podcast, and Apple Podcast. Be sure to subscribe so that you do not miss out. Now, to get on with the show. Today I'm talking to Laurie Cooper of Abingdon Estate. Good morning, Laurie.
Good morning, Will.
I'd love to hear a bit more about yourself and how you became involved in the wine industry.
Yeah, so I am. My kind of journey in wine is probably a short one, but a fast-tracked one. It goes back to my parents started Abingdon back in 2004. So throughout school, I was involved in the industry, and then my parents were running a wine estate, but I never had any interest in it. I don't really remember much of it. It was only much later, around 2012, I was living in London, and I finally decided to do just a quick wine course because I really needed to know more about wine. And that was kind of the beginning of being completely sucked in and immersed in this industry. And from one short wine course to my WSET diploma, I then came home, started to join the farm full time. So did the winemaking with my dad, opened the wine school so that I could run the WSET courses and do, and then got involved on kind of sommelier side of things. And so went into my sommelier qualifications, won the Moet & Chandon Best Young Sommelier last year, and
Awesome.
I'm currently on the Master of Wine program. So it's been kind of a whirlwind, but loved every minute of it.
Tell us a bit more about this Moet program. That sounds exciting, and congratulations on winning.
Thank you. So it's, as I said, my history is a lot more on the study of wine, the wine tasting, and I've never really been involved in the sommelier service side of things. So I did the qualification just to kind of better myself, and also because I was running those courses and wanted to be able to teach it. And I thought I'd just enter the competition on a bit of a whim, really. So it was the Moet & Chandon Best Young Sommelier, which took place in October last year, and we went through the quarterfinals, the semi-finals. The next thing, I found myself in the finals and won it. So that side of things is also taking off and being a great journey.
That's awesome. So tell me, how did your parents start making wine in KZN? I'm from the Cape, so I didn't even know you guys were making wine there, to be honest. So I was ashamed of myself, but anyway, tell us a bit more how you started and a little bit of the history of Abingdon Estate.
Yeah, I suppose you could call it brilliance or sheer madness. So my dad, we moved from Johannesburg. My parents were based in Johannesburg and moved to Abingdon back in 2000. And they bought the farm with absolutely no plans to make wine. My dad is a petroleum engineer, has absolutely no experience in winemaking at all. But the more Ian looked at the land and the more he wanted to do something with it, he kept coming up with different ideas. And we were actually in the Alps, and he saw these vineyards, and something just triggered. And he just thought, you know what, if you can make wines in extreme climates, if you can make them in wetter climates at altitude, why aren't there any vineyards in Natal? So he started researching it. And he started researching, this idea came about in about 2002. And in 2004, he planted the first vines. So everything he's done from the beginning then was 100% self-taught. He has no experience in wine. KwaZulu-Natal had no vineyards. But he's just an incredibly determined, stubborn, hardworking man, and he decided to make it happen. So in 2007, we produced our first KZN estate wine.
What an awesome story. Now that you mentioned the Swiss Alps, some of the best wine in Europe are made and then obviously consumed right there, because it's not a lot of volume that can be produced in those extreme climates. Are you finding the same volume type of thing, that you're producing small amounts?
Yeah, so we're a very small estate. We're about 3.5 hectares under vine, and it's exactly that. In an extreme climate, for us, we want to be able to make sure that we are focusing on the quality and not the quantity. And the bigger you go, obviously things like summer rainfall, you've got to manage your rots. Your hands-on maintenance and canopy management is so big that it would just be silly to try and produce on a mass scale. You just can't keep on top of it. So we do keep it small. It's small production, and it just means that we can really, as a family, stay on top of the viticulture and make sure that we're monitoring everything, and we're really looking after the vines in this kind of a climate.
By the sounds of it, you're the only wine producer in KZN, am I right?
There's 3 of us. So on a commercial level, there's now 3 producers. So Abingdon is the oldest, and we produced the first estate wines out of KZN. And then since then, Highgate Wine Estate is just across the valley. They've producing, and they've joined us. And there's also Cathedral Peak Cellars, Cathedral Peak Wines. Yeah.
Do you think there's growth in the industry there? Do you see opportunity for more vineyards to be planted?
Absolutely, I hope so. I think, especially with global warming, we're starting to see, the quality this year was sensational. We're starting to see warmer days. We're seeing less rain. Our season is becoming drier and drier, and so I think there's huge potential to build KZN as a wine region and get more wine estates. We've got beautiful altitude. So Abingdon sits at 1,140 meters. So beautiful altitude with the season getting drier, those cold winters. It's a lovely place to be.
It's amazing. The global warming seems to be having an effect everywhere. I've been to, I think, what's the place called Denby Wine Estate in Surrey in England,
yes.
which they used to have warmers in their vineyards to actually heat their vines during the cold winter days. And the last few years they haven't needed it, and also the quality of the wines have improved significantly because of the warming effect.
Yep, I think there's certainly places that we thought wouldn't produce previously are now in the limelight, and the UK is definitely one of them.
Yeah, amazing. So, what can a guest experience when visiting your estate? What do you have there?
So we focus on, we're a family wine estate, and we want you to be able to really experience that. So on the estate, we have a tasting room, and we have a wine bar that serves tapas-style meals on the weekend. And we always want you to know that if you do come to Abingdon, you will meet one of us. You'll be able to speak to one of the winemakers, either myself or Ian. Jane does all the cooking. Jane's my mother. She does all the cooking, and we're very much involved. And there's always a bustling atmosphere. You get to taste a range of all our wines, and it's just that really personal experience that we hope to be able to give people when they visit.
So the fact that you're calling it a wine bar beside the tasting room sounds to me like you almost there must be some locals coming, and it's almost a place where people come to hang out on weekends on a regular basis. Is this true?
Very much so, yeah. So we've been very privileged that I would say for about the last 5 to 6 years, most weekends are fully booked. And we've got repeat customers. A lot of our Durban-based guests travel to us for lunch. And so, we've been very successful. Last year, we won the American Express Dining Awards, the best kept secret in the country. It's a great place that's always going to be busy and hopefully an experience.
Amazing. So, Laurie, now to the important stuff. Tell us a bit more about the wines that you are making there.
So we make for a small estate, we make a range of different wines from, MCC, although we don't call them Method Cup Classique, we call it a Method Traditionnel. So we've got a Chardonnay Blanc de Blanc, we've got a Rosé style MCC, we also have a Viognier Pet Nat. In terms of the white wines, we have Sauvignon Blanc, Chardonnay, and Viognier. On the red wines, we have Syrah, Cabernet Sauvignon, and a Nebbiolo, which we produced our first vintage this year. And a range of different wines. We like to be able to experiment. There's always 1 or 2 different blends or different wines that we produce each year just to give you something different. But we hope that they give you a uniquely KZN profile. So everything we do is 100% estate wines. It's all from the farms, and we want you to be able to hopefully taste that difference, to taste KZN wines, that continental aspect, that lovely fresh acidity, the elegance that comes with them. So we're never going to make a full-bodied, big, bold, rich style of Mediterranean style wine, but we do make something that's uniquely KZN. And yeah, it's been a great start for me, I think, in my winemaking journey, to be able to come to a family estate where we can experiment and play around, and yeah, we have great fun.
Amazing. So, where are your wines sold? Are you exporting them or local market? What happens?
So about 98% are sold from the estate, cellar door. So we are listed in a few restaurants and hotels around the province, but most of them are sold from the farm. And I think a large part of that was the decision that we didn't want to be in a bottle store. We didn't want to be a wine on the shelf. We wanted people to come visit us, to hear the story. We don't export at the moment. It possibly would be something that we'll look into in the future. But again, it was just making sure that we looked after our local base, making sure that we got to the point where, as a young wine estate, we had consistent production. We were happy with the quality. We were building a name in our local base before looking at any other options.
I understand that. Are you, I mean, with your wine bar being popular and also the local market there, would you consider maybe expanding to restaurant? Is that something in your pipeline?
Definitely, yeah. So we've been very lucky with a lot of our listings so far have been great listings. So things like the Oyster Box Hotel, Hertford House, 9th Avenue. We've been able to be quite selective, which has been fantastic. And it's only really in this last year that we've managed to see out a full year with our wines. So previously they were selling out within 2-3 months, and we would spend most of the year with no wine.
Wow.
Which, as a wine estate, becomes a little difficult if people are coming to your tasting to taste your wines. There was one December was our busiest period of the year, and we closed. We had no wine. So a lot of it in previous years has also been just looking after the tasting room and making sure we have the stock so that people who visit the estate will be able to taste our wines. Going forward, now that we are slowly, the newer blocks are kicking in, we've got larger production, and we can start to look at those other options.
Are the other producers, can you buy in from them, or they're also using their own their stock to full capacity?
So as far as I'm aware, we're the only registered estate in KZN. So everything we do will be 100% from the farm.
Okay.
I know that I think, the others, Highgate, they still KZN, but they might have bought some grapes from, I think there's a Hilton vineyard. So it's still keeping it within KZN, but for us, we are 100% estate grown, and we will always keep it 100% estate grown. So both this year is a small harvest, and we wish we had more, but that's the way it is, and it will stay 100% Abingdon. So a small harvest is a small harvest.
Laurie, now about this, the next thing looks like your baby, the KZN School of Wine. Can you tell us a bit more about that?
So my original journey was all through the Wine and Spirit Education Trust in the UK, so WACT. And I went through to my diploma level when I moved home. And at the time I moved back, there was only one other school for WACT, which Kathy Marston's running in the Cape. And I really wanted to offer something on the East Coast, and to be able to offer the courses, which are wonderful courses, internationally recognized WACT wine courses. And I wanted to be able to bring that to KZN. So I decided to open the school, which was back in 2014, I think, and run a range of different classes so that we could offer wine courses in Natal, and to anyone. I'm really passionate about wine education, and just to be able to expand that. So yeah, the KZN School of Wine is run on the farm, and we run different courses from really fun, quick one-day courses through to the WSET level 3, a lot more intense courses.
Well, I suppose with the growth in tourism in South Africa the last few years, demand from hotels and places like that who need people who are educated in wine has also grown.
Exactly, yeah. And I think especially for KZN, we don't have that history of a wine culture. We need, I think there's a lot of work to be done in terms of the service and the wine education.
Just a quick interruption, but I do need to remind you that we are currently in a very difficult time. The South African government has set up a fund where businesses and individuals can donate to support our country through this crisis. Go to the website now and add your small donation. www.solidarityfund.co.za. Please join us all in the fight against COVID-19. That is at www.solidarityfund.co.za. Now, let's get on with the show. So, Laurie, the thing that has on our minds all the time with the lockdown and everything, the coronavirus, and this has forced everyone to rethink their business model. Do you have any changes or new ideas in mind? Maybe online sales? What are you guys thinking?
Yeah, I think it's certainly forced everyone to relook at things. So it's obviously, I think hospitality has been hit in a huge way. And with the ban of alcohol sales, the wine industry, it's tough times for us. So I think everybody needs to be able to look at different ways to move forward. Anything that is digitally minded, I think, is a great way at the moment. I think, Corona really has brought about kind of a digital transformation of business. So yeah, online sales is definitely, once we can open sales, that will be fantastic for us. And I think what we've really been focusing on is what we've seen throughout this time was the support we've had, which has been really fantastic. Is just those really loyal supporters who have wanted to, and I think we've seen it across the industry, wanting to help those who can't drum up business at this time. So we've really had an unbelievable response of those who want to be there for us, show their support, buy wines for after lockdown. And a large part of our kind of ideas moving forward is also around how do we give back to these people? Because a lot of them have been with Abingdon since day one. They've bought our first vintage, they've been there and they keep buying. And I think we, as a family, we had a big discussion as to, right, when this is over, we need to find a way to give back, whether it's through wine clubs and invitation to events and verticals of our old vintages, and just being able to support those who've really shown their support, not only through this period, but also just from the beginning. And that's really humbling. That's been a really lovely kind of, in this period, which is not ideal, it's been really great to see. And so now it's just that, I think, is our ideas is right. It's time to give back.
Well, that's awesome. I mean, it's amazing how this whole thing has brought people together. Also, with your education side, I think the potential, a lot of things can be digitized and taken online, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So we've seen, again, huge support from kind of WACT courses and wine courses as to, right, how can we help you to continue to run your courses? So a lot of them, and I mean, you see it on Instagram, it's fantastic just to watch, different chefs cooking and how many people are starting to do lectures. So yeah, we're starting to look at ways to lecture online. We have our online courses, different ways to run the exams, to get the materials. And yeah, there's a huge amount of change coming in, and this is a time where people are home and maybe not as busy as they usually would have been. So it's a perfect time to start courses and to start something.
Well, like
yeah.
No, apologies. Like you say, people are sitting at home, so they might as well learn something.
Exactly, yeah. So we're really looking at ways. We have a great online support and ways that we can continue those courses online.
Right. Your wine journey. Tell us, what is the most important thing that you've learned from your wine journey?
I think for me, because it's been a short wine journey, yet kind of a fast track wine journey, you're always learning. And if there's anything I think that I've learned, or what I've found most important, is that you never stop learning. So it's always to stay humble. It doesn't really matter whether you've had 2 years in the industry or 60 years in the industry. You are always going to learn something new. Something's going to be thrown at you. You never ever know enough. And I mean, especially in things like KZN and New Region, we are still learning every day. Every time we think, okay, we've got it, you learn something new. And the same thing with the courses. It's just every time I've done another qualification or I've finished another book, something else gets thrown at you. So I think it is really a way of teaching you to stay humble, because this is a lifetime journey. I don't think I'm ever going to know enough. So yeah, just keep learning. You'll never know enough.
Well, it's awesome that as a winemaker, you can actually learn from your dad. And also, what I'd like to know, your family's philosophy on winemaking. Can you sum that up a little bit for us?
Yeah, I think, I really admire my father and his philosophy. From the beginning, it's always been 100% quality driven and integrity. And he, you'll see, of course, in a family business, you have debates and heated discussions, shall we say. The amount of times my mum and I are saying, oh, Ian's done it again. He's, I don't know, pruned this vine so that we can have a healthy crop time 4 years time. And he's been so stringent on making sure that even if you make sacrifices in a year, 2 years, 3 years, by the time you get to the long-term goal, you'll be in the right place. And I think you really admire that. So it's never been, there's no shortcuts. It's always been, he's thrown 100% into it. And it's been, I suppose, integrity and quality. So everything we've done is, we're not just going to be, the small guys trying to make some wine. Let's do this with the aim to produce quality from the very beginning. And even if that costs you short term, let's do it for the long term, which he started from the beginning. And I was in the industry, and when you become involved as a second generation, that's when you really appreciate it. Is thanks, Dad.
Yeah. I mean, that's awesome. Laurie, last question. Do you have a favorite wine quote, or do you have your own wine quote?
I have lots of them.
All right.
Probably not all my own, but I was thinking, there was something I read the other day that kind of struck home with me, and it said, wine is not only an object of pleasure, but an object of knowledge. And the level of that pleasure depends greatly on the knowledge. And that really struck home with me, because the more you know about my wine, the more knowledge you have, the more you appreciate it, the more you want to know. And that's really lovely, because that knowledge of wine gives you the pleasure, but also we're in the fortunate position where the pleasure of wine gives you the knowledge. And that, to me, I think has always been my journey in wine, is knowing more about wine, is being passionate enough to continue studying it, so that you can get greater joy out of it. And we're really lucky that the study of wine is also drinking it.
Awesome. Laurie, if our listeners wants to find your estate, or they want to find your wines, or they want to find you online, how do they get hold of you?
Yep, so the estate is Abingdon Wine Estate. So our website is www.abingdonestate.co.za. The school is the KZN School of Wine. So likewise, www.kznschoolofwine.co.za. And we should, on the website, you'll see the full range of wines. If you want to get in touch with us, please send us an email. We always have updated lists, and yeah, we can send to the Cape.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Laurie, thank you for spending time with us, and I appreciate the time you've taken, and good luck with the rest of the lockdown and the rest of your year. Thank you.
Pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you for supporting our show. If you would like to get more exposure for your business, please have a look at our sponsorship options. Thanks again for supporting About the Winelands. Please follow us on YouTube and on our social media channels. All details and links are in the description.